What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Celtics Talk podcast here on the NBC Sports Boston podcast network. And it's a new season. But we'd be burying the lead if we didn't say, like, since the last time we all hung out, it's been a little wild in Celtics land. We huddled with Eddie House last week, and the whole topic was don't panic. Rob Williams is going to be fine. That Rob Williams' injury timeline got moved to 8 to 12 weeks, and then the whole thing with the coach. So things get awkward. This time, we're going to start turning the page a little bit forward. We got John Karalis from the Locked On Celtics podcast coming up. He's going to talk to me about what he saw at the first day of training camp today as the focus shifts a little bit back to basketball and off everything else. And we're going to close today's episode by playing you a little bit of a snippet, or, well, almost, I would say a big old snippet of my conversation with Jaylen Brown on Media Day. I actually got a chance to sit down with both him and Jason Tatum at one point. You'll have to wait a little bit to see that full version. You can see some snippets out there. But got a chance to catch up with Jaylen after that and talk about his summer, his underwater workouts, the trade rumors, and where his head's at going into the new season. And I thought he was probably the best person we talked to all day. I just thought he was open and honest. So I really hope you stick around and check that out at the end of the episode. All right, let's talk about it. The Celtics. It's been a wild week. And obviously, Media Day was pretty crazy as well. It's weird. I keep thinking back to July and all the optimism that was around this team. They come off the finals, and even though they lose, there's like hope about, all right, they're going to be back next year. Jaylen and Jason will be better. They go out and they trade for Malcolm Brogdon, and they signed Danilo Gallinari, and there's just this overflow of optimism. And I think there was an NBA survey, and all the GMs voted the Celtics had the best off season. Well, then August rolls around, and Jaylen dances through trade rumors as Kevin Durant saga's going on. You got Danilo Gallinari tearing his ACL in international play. Rob goes down and needs surgery to clean up that knee after kind of giving up his body in the finals last year. And then obviously the scandal here with Ime Udoka. And so little black cloud hovering over Celtics Media Day on Monday. And so instead of the focus being on all the reasons to be optimistic about this team, the tenor was a little bit, players getting peppered with questions about how to handle this, and players really expressing some frustration with not having information about what's happening. And, I got to assume that the team can only tell them so much as part of a legal investigation. And I think they feel a little bit frustrated by that. But whatever was lingering in that moment and the uncertainty, I think it was Jaylen who said it best. Basketball is a great equalizer, and getting back out there on the court on Tuesday seemed to rejuvenate them a little bit. There was more positivity coming out of the Auerbach Center than we saw certainly on Friday when Brad Stevens and Wick Grossbeck huddled with the media to explain what they could about what's going on. I'll give credit to Joe Mazzulla. Me and Karalis will get into this. What we thought about his press conference. He brought some levity in there. I thought the guys had a lot more smiles than maybe you would anticipate after a frustrating Monday, but it's a sign that winning and getting back on the court and competing for a title can help wash away all that other stuff that is hovering about. So let's not waste any time. Let's get Karalis in here. Let's talk about what we saw at day one of training camp. All right, Karalis, I'm going to give you the option. What do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the overall vibes at day one of training camp, or do we go right to the Luke Kornet hype train?
Let's ease into the hype train for Luke. Okay, let's start with the vibes and then end strong on the Luke Kornet hype train.
All right. So obviously Monday felt a little bit like interviewing at a morgue. A lot of people. Yeah. And so I don't know what I expected. I did think there would be a little bit of a shift in the energy to run with the Jaylen Brown cliche, but I was a little surprised that just like getting back to basketball was such a relief for you guys. Am I crazy to think that sort of permeated the room today?
Oh, I thought that was huge there. I mean, I really do believe that they don't know a lot of what's going on. I think there's some question and people are just like unsure of whether to buy into that they don't know much. I really think that they know a little bit. They knew that Ime was out and they probably know a little bit more than they're letting on, but I think they're still in the dark about a lot of these details because of all the privacy stuff. Mm-hmm. So I really do think that the media day was just on top of, look, I'm still in shock over this. I can't imagine what the players are. They're getting ready for a potential championship run, and the guy that they've been fighting with and for is suddenly not there. In some level of what they've been working towards has been ripped away through Ime's own doing. So getting back on the court is just, okay, normalcy. Yes, let's run some drills. Yes, please let me run some sprints. Let me do some suicides out here. Let me do anything that makes me just feel like a normal human being again. So yes, it's like getting into the shower after a long camping trip and washing all of that filth off of you, and they feel so good to just let that water run over them and just get back to normal basketball.
Yeah, and I mean, even just them chucking half-court shots at the end. They were just so thrilled. Like you said, I would have loved to have seen some Mazzulla telling them to do the 3-minute mile challenge, the lap challenge or whatever. And they're like, yes, this is going to be awesome. So it definitely nice to see them kind of shift the focus onto that. I thought it was interesting that was it Grant who said that, if we needed to play today, we'd be ready to go,
Yeah.
How encouraged are you should Celtics fans be hearing that there's sort of almost this thing like maybe they can pick up where they left off despite all that's working against them and the fact that they don't have everybody out there?
I mean, it is one of the things that I was kind of saying in the immediate aftermath. Like it's a natural human reaction, right? Oh my God, Ime did this. This is so horrible. This is terrible. You add that to Danilo. You add that to Rob's surgery. Sorry, that okay. You're sitting there thinking like, oh my God, it's all falling apart. And
kind of felt that way.
It definitely feels that way. The Robert Williams surgery might be the most impactful part of all of this, but really though, everyone else is still part of the team that went to the finals, and everyone else has gone through their full off season. It's not like this happened in June and there's like, well, I don't know what to do now. What am I supposed to be working on? Everybody went through their whole thing and they're back. They've been back ready to go. So, okay, the coach is gone. But I think Joe Mazzulla is doing at least saying the right things about, hey, this is a team that went to the finals last year. I'm not so arrogant as to say I've got a better way to do this. We're going to stay consistent. I'm going to drive my minivan into work. We're going to stay consistent with everything. And we're going to go play basketball and do the things that worked. And we're going to fix the things that don't. And I like his approach. And yeah, obviously there's a setback here, obviously. But it's still mostly the same team that went to the finals with those lessons learned. So, yeah, I feel like some of the how much does this impact the team and the negativity was at least a little overblown.
Mm-hmm. It's fair. And I do think we won't know until they get into games, and maybe it's like a crunch time moment when Mazzulla is going to draw up a play, or they lose 2 games in a row and all of a sudden everyone's starting to question, then we'll find out like where that adversity comes from. But I think not that it was overblown, because it is crazy. Like there's not many teams lose their head coach 5 days before. And just as you said, like the Rob thing is bigger than we thought because of the injury length and all that. But we do forget that they still have 7 of their top 8 back. Malcolm Brogdon's here. I wasn't sure what Danilo Gallinari's role exactly was before the injury. Like it's a tough loss for a team that needs depth. And yet, like Peyton Pritchard's sitting there thinking, I'm wondering how I'm cracking this rotation. So I'm eager to see it in principle. It's crazy that we have a game on Sunday and we get to see it so quickly. You brought up Mazzulla. His line of the day, I think, was off of one of your questions, where he said, what were you think on your way to work? And his response was,
I drive a minivan. That's probably the first thing I go to, and I'm not changing it. But I park in the same spot. I do what I'm supposed to do, and I think that's part of it. Is like same thing I'm asking the players to do. I have to do. I got to do my job. I got to take it one day at a time, and I can't skip any steps either. So I'm not turning in the minivan.
Did you like that he had a little bit of levity to his first day? Like, because I think it's really easy in that moment to be tight and to be thinking about every little thing. And he was cool enough to be like, you know what? I drove my minivan. I didn't know what to do with my hands when I was out there. And like, I'm just going to have to learn on the fly here.
It's the right mix of reading from the Brad Stevens playbook, being very, very process oriented, but also mixing in a little bit of self-deprecation. He did it on media day when he said, Stevens must have had a concussion when he was praising him. and then the comment about driving the minivan, and I'm not going to change that, is, relatable. And it's like, you know what? Thank you. It's a touch disarming is what it is. It's the right type of, and it's the right read of the room where you just disarm a little bit and say, yeah, I'm still going to do the same thing. The whole point of that thing was, I'm doing everything the same. I'm parking in the same spot. I'm driving the same car. I'm doing everything that I've been doing. It's just that my job's a little bit different. So
should the Celtics have given him a better parking spot?
I mean, maybe when it gets colder out, he's gonna push for that a little bit, or maybe somebody else in the I wouldn't be surprised if Grant was like, no, that's open. I'm just gonna start parking here until they tell me to stop.
Grant takes Ime's parking spot. Back in the day when we were all at Health Point over in Waltham, that would have been a thing because we had to come in from the outside, and at least the players did. I mean, all of us did, but like especially the players. Now we have garages and stuff. I don't know if it's that big of a deal, but every little bit helps. And when you've been tasked with figuring out how to be a 34-year-old coach and leading a championship caliber team, I feel like you should get all the perks that are available to you. I do have to ask you before we go any further, how much Rhode Island bias do you have that they hired a Rhode Island guy? And like, should I expect your coverage of the team to be tainted by the fact that Joe Mazzulla is now the head coach?
Totally. You're going to see me coming in with clam cakes and chowder.
Narragansett for everybody.
Yes. Some old Gansets, some old Rocky Point and clam cakes. And I'm gonna really find it. I know all the tricks. You see me walking in with a Dell's lemonade. Yes. You know I'm gunning for that 30-minute podcast appearance. Yeah, I know all the Rhode Island tricks, man.
Well, I'll say this, Brad. I tried for like 2 months straight to try to get camp in Newport. And I might have a liaison now who can fight a little harder for that. And I think if the Celtics had maybe known all this chaos was going to happen, maybe they would have liked to take training camp on the road and get away from.
I tell you, once that happened, I wonder if they move this. I really thought that they might have just said, you know what, let's just round everybody up, let's go down there. But the logistics, I'm sure, it was too soon. But yeah, that thought crossed my head too.
Yeah, I mean, they would have gone really far away. They might have gone to your native Greece, and then Jay King could have covered it over there. But
then we would have gotten Jay King to actually cover the team instead of being on his honeymoon.
Well, we had to throw shade at him anyway. So let's spin it forward. I started it here. I will say, because we didn't get to see a whole lot, and besides feeling the vibes and seeing Mazzulla's first day, I thought the other big story was that Luke Kornet was out there in a green jersey. And look, you're absolutely going to tell me I'm overreacting to the first day and that they're going to shuffle lineups, and I'm 100% agree. But I just still think it's interesting, and it is understandable why they would think about this, because if you envision Malcolm Brogdon and Grant Williams coming off your bench long term, much like Brad used to do, wanting to keep Marcus in that 6-man role, it's sometimes easier to promote a guy who isn't long term in that spot. One, should we feel about seeing Luke Kornet in green? And are people sleeping on the green Kornet?
You also forget that he made that half-court shot during the half-court shoot. He was the first one. He's the guy that hit the shot that got everybody to go, wow! Yeah. And everybody, like, we're in the media scrum just kind of waiting, and I don't think everybody quite realized what was going on until that roar of Luke Kornet hitting the half-court shot.
Luke Kornet vibe setter.
Yeah, absolutely. I did note that he was in that green jersey with the starters in that once the curtains went up. I'm sure it's part of the experimentation, and you don't know who's going to end up getting that spot, how they're going to end up doing it. I like the idea of finding somebody to start for Rob. That's another big. I did wonder if maybe Fiano Kabengele might get a look, because his game most closely resembles Rob's in the rim running, shot blocking kind of athletic guy. But I don't know Yeah, you're right. I don't know how it's going to go. I think they're gonna try Luke, and I do believe in the concept of putting a guy like Luke Kornet out there, just like Doc used to start Scalabrini when Kevin Garnett went down.
Mm-hmm.
You put the guy out there that is going to mostly benefit from all the other guys, and you
Mm-hmm.
keep your better individual players on the bench. Don't start Brogdon. Keep Brogdon coming off the bench, because now you've got a guy who can create for himself on the second unit. Same, you put Grant on that second unit, Derek White on that second unit. Don't mess with that so much. You have obviously Jaylen, Jason, Marcus, and Al, a very cohesive, very good unit, very good defensive unit. They can help mask some of the deficiencies that Luke Kornet might have, and you never know the attention paid to everybody else, because if you're going to double off of anybody, you're doubling off of Luke Kornet in that lineup. The wide open looks that he might get might just be enough to get him to start knocking some shots down a little bit more consistently. So theoretically, yeah, I can see why that's going to be the at least the first shot at how they fill Rob's spot. Then it's up to Luke Kornet to actually do it or not do it, and then they'll have to adjust whether it works or not.
Yeah, and the one thing I always remind people is that if you roll it back to last year, the first preseason game, power forward was Juancho Hernan-Gomez, and that did not end up being the way the Celtics went, and Al Horford eventually slid into that role and was probably better than we all thought when we were writing him off for being 35 years old. Somehow he's getting younger and looks more spry at 36.
He looks good, man. I looked at him and I was like, that's why I asked the question that I asked him. Did you change your diet? Are you doing something? He looks like slim, svelte. Like I wanted some tips. I want some old man tips. How do I lose some weight like you? Give me some
extra chocolate milk, evidently.
I guess so.
Right.
Having a $25 million contract and the personal chef probably, and having it be your job to work out every day is probably going to be the answer. But give me throw me a little bone here somewhere.
I'm wondering if he got on that TB12 avocado ice cream, whatever else is going on out there. Any other takeaways from today? I mean, again, we didn't get to see much. We didn't get to see exactly how Brogdon fits in with the second unit. It was nice to see him working with those guys, because again, I think that's his role. But did any of those of the day one craziness stand out to you?
No, I didn't think. I mean, the thing was a pretty standard day. You don't get to see a whole lot. I think the other takeaway that I have is just it felt good for us to be normal. Yeah. You get back to the scrums, and haven't been in a scrum like that in a while, and you get back to the good old days. But I do like getting to see some of the dynamics and some of the things down there that you just never got to see before doing stuff off of Zoom. But yeah, I think for the Celtics, I think it was nice. It was nice to see Tatum out there working on some floaters. He's clearly working on his finishing around the rim. That's going to be an emphasis for him. So that was kind of good to see him.
Even just Jaylen and Jason at opposite ends on the main court an hour after practice. I know that's just probably their blocked off time, but I still think it's important that your best players are not scrambling out of there after day one and sort of setting a tone. And we heard that it was very businesslike both in informal workouts and today. But yeah, I think if you're a Celtics fan and the last few days have been pretty trying to search for positives, maybe this week will be a little beacon of there's the sunny Alston background of John Karalis' background right there.
That's right.
In the future.
I will say the one other takeaway I did have is how vocal they were saying things were. And the Marcus Smart, obviously very vocal, but Grant saying you could feel Smart there and very much early. And this isn't Marcus Smart, grizzled veteran now who's just going to come in and coast into things. He comes in right away, yelling and screaming about picks and defense and all that stuff. Jason Tatum being more vocal, other guys being more vocal. One of the things that I'm looking for on this team right now to help Joe Mazzulla is this collaboration between the leaders and the interim head coach, because those guys, Tatum and Brown and Smart, especially, and Al, are going to have to be the guys that support Joe to a point where if there's ever any sort of thing that's kind of iffy on the team, they've got to throw their weight behind the coach to make sure that anything like that gets squashed, to put that aside and continue moving forward. I think that those guys, Jaylen even said it at media day, this is going to be a real test of everybody's leadership. And so to hear after day one how vocal everybody was, I don't know if that was a point of emphasis from the team to say, make sure you get this point out there. But it's still, from a fan's perspective, you say, well, that's good to hear that the leaders on the team are stepping up in day one.
Nice. All right. I got to go minivan shopping. You can go check out Karalis on any of the 94 Locked On podcasts that he hopes and on Boston Sports Journal. Thank you for your insight, John.
My pleasure. Anytime.
All right. Good stuff there from Karalis. I love training camp. It's just, for me, we don't get to see a lot anymore. We used to be down in like Newport and stuff like that. We'd get maybe a little bit longer. We'd see some scrimmaging at the end. Maybe we'll see some of that later in the week. We only get to see guys shooting and stretching and, you don't get to see too much, but we did get to see a lot of it's just good to be able to get a grasp on. We're on the floor a little bit more than we have been in the pandemic. And it's nice to just get a grasp of what this team looks like, where they're at, see some faces, some familiar faces without masks and stuff like that. So cool to be back on the court, eager to see what this week brings. Maybe we'll find out a little bit more about that competition on the back half of the roster. Very eager to see if Kornet stays in that green jersey and all that. So a lot to look forward to there. Let's shift gears. Again, the big mystery coming into the biggest question I had coming into the new season was, where was Jaylen Brown's head at? And, again, from the trade rumors to everything that's going on with the team, how did Jaylen feel about, how about his position here, about moving on and how confident he is to carry the team through this? I got a chance to ask him some of those questions. Here's our conversation with Jaylen Brown. What was your summer like? Obviously, I'm not gonna I won't ask for specifics, but obviously your name dancing rumors. How do you navigate that?
You don't. You just keep doing what you do. That's all I've been doing. It's been the same since I've been here in Boston, so it's the same now. So I just keep doing what I've been doing, putting my best foot forward, I guess. Just this summer I was hanging out with my grandpa, working out. I feel good. I'm in the best shape of my life, so that's it.
Does it frustrate you anymore?
Not really. In a sense, yes and no, I guess. But I don't really have a comment on it, to be honest. Like I said, Boston has been, unique journey since I've been here. I started out, people forget I got some boos when I first got drafted. When you get booed, everything is kind of uphill from there. So that's kind of how I look at it. But I'm just poking fun. It's been all right. This summer's been great. It's been a great summer. So like I said, I'm in great shape. Obviously, we kind of got the stuff going on now, but I'm optimistic, and I believe in Joe. So we'll see where this thing goes. Where does that belief in Joe come from? What are your interactions been like? I've heard of reviews about his defensive acumen and stuff like that. What makes you sure that Joe is going to be able to lead you through this? Throughout the last year's season, I was having film sessions with guys, and a lot of those was led by Joe. And Tony was there as well, but Joe was leading a lot of those film sessions, breaking them down, saying how me and JT could play better off each other, and me and Smart could play better off each other. I was pulling individual guys into the film room and having those sessions with them and stuff like that. And a lot of those was led by Joe. So Joe believes in me. I think that's where the belief comes from. I don't think he sees a limitation on my game. I think he's going to set my bar high rather than setting it low and I'm breaking through it. He's going to set my bar high and make me go get it. So I'm excited about that. The real thing I want to know about your summer was, what were those underwater workouts like? They were great. They were great. I pushed myself to the limit this summer. I've done things that I never thought I could do. I wasn't a great swimmer. I was probably an average swimmer. And you would think I was born in the water if you saw me now. I've been doing some pretty cool things. My grandpa got to come out and watch. He thought I was crazy for it, but no, I think it's definitely going to translate. and things like that. So I'm excited.
How does that come about? Like, do you just find Luca, right, was his name? Like, how do you just say, like, that's something I want to learn? That's something that can challenge me as a human being? Like, how does that come about?
It kind of, like, it's weird, in a weird way, it kind of found me. Because, like, all season I've been telling myself, this upcoming season, I want to, like, try something different. I want to get more in the water. I want to improve. I feel like, you know, I'm kind of, like, muscular, I'm tight. So if I get a little bit more fluid, you know, I think that it can improve my game and also, like, improve my cardio and all that. I was saying all this stuff before the season even ended. And then I walked into a treatment session, and then one of the physical trainers had it on the television. And he was like, oh, that's my good friend, Lair Hamilton. He's like a legendary surfer, whatever, that's his training facility. Like, go check it out. So I did and fell in love with it and haven't looked back since.
How confident are you guys can push through this first noise and be as successful as you were last season?
How confident am I? That's a great question. All I can say is really that I am excited. Like, this presents challenges that I don't think everybody knows is on the other side of the door. This is unique for everybody. I haven't been through anything like this. Jason hasn't been through anything like this. So it's definitely new. So, you know, I believe in my guys, right? And, you know, a lot of stuff going on, but that's what's going to take precedent. So, you know, when we get to start practice tomorrow, you know, that'll be great to, you know, start getting things going. Because, you know, basketball, you know, is the great equalizer to everything. So we're looking forward to playing some good ball.
What gets you most excited about this year? Is ignoring all the noise? Like, what's one thing that you're like, this is why I can't wait to get back out there?
I can't wait to get back this year just because of how last year ended. A lot of things that we did well last year, and a lot of things that I wish I did different, you know. So this season, this off season, this summer, I was pushing myself to be able to just get back to this point, to be able to start the season again. And now, fast forward, we're here. It wasn't a great summer. It was a great summer, but it wasn't a great summer. Having to live with the awareness that you was in the finals and you lost, you dropped the ball, even if it was against one of the greatest, you know, teams in NBA history or whatever. We were up 2-1 with a home game. Yeah, so when you start to break it down and look at it and watch those games, game 4, and things like that, it doesn't make you feel great. So I'm excited to get back to this summer because now, I mean, you move on, you learn from it. It was our first time there, but you still don't forget. So like this summer, the shoes that I had, I wore the last game of the season. I wore in every workout that I had this summer. Like every training, every lift, every court session. If you see the shoes now, they're like damn near in like shreds, but just to remind myself.
All right, good stuff there from Jaylen. My only wish was that we had more time. Would wanted to get into the ball handling, wanted to get into, you know, just even dive deeper into all the craziness of this year. But you can tell I love the honesty, admitting that stung by some of those trade rumors, and that it's hard not to be frustrated despite being dragged through it before. I love that he talking about challenging himself with those underwater workouts. There's some video out there, Marcus Smart walking by during our live stream and seeing the underwater workouts and being mesmerized by Jaylen's ability to hold his breath for like 2 minutes underwater. So it's really neat. I'm expecting a big year from Jaylen. He's always seems to harness this motivation the right way, and I'm eager to see. And you'll hear a little bit down the road about, you know, him and Tatum talking about the new season and the desire and what the main goal is. And it's pretty much just like, it doesn't matter about individual accolades anymore. That will come if the team is successful, and all they want to do is win. So we've got a whole bunch more of those interviews coming from Media Day here on the pod. Stay tuned. We're just going to load you up with all that stuff as we get ready. First preseason game Sunday. First real games in 20 days. It's going to get crazy around here. All right, everybody go like, subscribe. Check out the YouTube page. A bunch of all the videos are going up there as well from Media Day and our live streams and all that. And keep checking the coverage on NBCSportsBoston.com. We'll catch you next time on the Celtics Talk Podcast.